I'm Jay Jackson. Coming up, the two very simple things I do every day that virtually guarantees I'll lose weight. It's how I lost 80 pounds in less than 9 months, and you can too. Welcome to episode 17 of the ChoZen FroZen.
Bounce, bounce, bounce. Baby, bounce.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome to episode 17 of the ChoZen FroZen, where we plan to change the way the world eats, one person at a time, one meal at a time. Now, if you've seen our videos before, you know I break this down into 3 separate segments. First, we talk about the mathematics of weight loss. That's where I give you some very specific numbers that has shown how I can lose weight. And second, we talk about the practice of weight loss, and that's how we use those numbers and get into a rhythm of losing weight. And then finally, we talk about the ChoZen. That's for the more advanced ChoZen FroZen subscribers, where I give you some tips on how to advance in your weight loss journey. Also, a recommended frozen food of the day. Now, first things first, you need to download the MyFitnessPal app. That app will help you track your calories, and you certainly will be tracking calories on the ChoZen FroZen, but I'll show you a very specific way to do it. First, I want to give a couple of shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Men's Health Magazine for doing an interview with me where we talk about the ChoZen FroZen and how it's helping so many people. Thank you so much for that. Also want to give a shout out to Miss Kathy Hug. Check this out. She got on the ChoZen FroZen about a month ago from the time of this taping, and she has lost weight and she has completely transformed her body. 63-year-old looking like a 40-year-old. So congratulations to Kathy Huck. Now let's get started. The mathematics of weight loss. Weight loss is simple. I'm going to say that, and I know people say, what? Well, no, it is. Weight loss is simple. Here's what I do. Here's the first of the 2 things I was talking about. I consume 300-ish calories every 3 hours every day. Up to 2,000 calories, generally between 1,500 to 2,000 calories. I'll say that again. I consume 300-ish calories every 3 hours, up every day, up to 2,000 calories. Oftentimes it's 1,600, 1,700 calories. Here's why that's important. 300 calories every 3 hours means that I am not going to be hungry throughout the day. In fact, most of the time, even after 3 hours, I'm not hungry. But that leads to the second thing. The reason I do it every 3 hours is because I've learned that I'm not feeding myself. I am not trying to make my belly happy. What I am doing with those 300 calories is providing fuel for the fat-eating machine that's inside of all of us. We call it our metabolism. I prefer to think of it as a machine that needs fuel, and the fuel is calories. And if you give it 300-ish calories every 3 hours, that will keep that machine running at its optimal rate, where you are constantly burning fat. Every time you feed it at that 3-hour interval, those 300 calories, it is reigniting your metabolism and getting it right back to its optimal rate, where you are burning and eating fat all day long. So I think in those terms. I don't think in terms of feeding myself 300-ish calories. I think in terms of refueling the fat-eating machine inside of me. Again, 300-ish calories every 3 hours, every day, up to 2,000 calories. Generally going to be between 1,500 to 1,800 calories. But you are constantly feeding that fat burner that is constantly eating up the fat, and people are looking at you every day and say, wow, did you get smaller? Almost every week people have been looking at me. They remember this 310-pound guy from October 2018, and then how I slowly started to transform my body. Now keep in mind, this is not a fast weight loss program. Most nutritionists and dietitians will tell you that the maximum weight you want to lose is 2 pounds every week. And then they recommend 1 pound every week. And that's pretty much how my weight loss journey has gone, 1.5 to 2 pounds every week. So that's also why the ChoZen FroZen has been so well received. It is exactly what dietitians and professional nutritionists will say, that you want to lose weight about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds a week, 2 pounds maximum. And that's how it works out here on the ChoZen FroZen when we're talking about the mathematics of weight loss. 300-ish calories every 3 hours, every day, up to 2,000 calories. Keep that in mind, and that's how you will be successful on the ChoZen FroZen with the first pillar, the mathematics of weight loss. And welcome to the practice of weight loss. This is where we talk about how to get into the rhythm of losing weight. What is practice? Practice is something you do over and over again until you get it right? Well, that's what weight loss is. And what we're talking about here, remember, 300-ish calories every 3 hours, up to 2,000 calories. So we're talking about 3-hour intervals. So the clock starts at the time I get up, and the time I get up and the time I have my first meal is generally around 8 o'clock. So I have a 300-ish calorie meal at 8 o'clock. And then I'll have another meal at 11 o'clock, which is 3 hours later. And then the next interval of 3 hours is at 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and I'm pretty much done eating by the end of the night. Now, it is so important that you get these time slots down into your head, down into your life. 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock. That's the second pillar of the ChoZen FroZen, how it will be successful for you. Remember, you're going to eat 300-ish calories every 3 hours, up to 2,000 calories. And then you have to understand that those time slots are important, because that will get you into the rhythm of keeping that metabolism re-energized throughout the day. And you will know that if you just go by your clock, 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Let's say you start to eat at 9 o'clock in the morning, you're a late starter. Okay, well then it's another 3 hours every 3 hours from the time you start eating. Let's say you start eating at 9 o'clock. Well, the next meal is at 12 o'clock. The next one's at 3 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock, and then 9 o'clock. And then you're going to get up between 1,600 to 2,000 calories, because you'll be eating other things in between those meals, for instance, having coffee or a candy bar or something like that. So with the 3 hour intervals, with 300 calorie meals, of course, that's 1,500 calories. But again, these are 300-ish calories. Sometimes it's higher than 300 calories. Sometimes it's lower than 300 calories. But the important thing about the practice of weight loss is understanding the importance of the time slots. Let's say that you get up early, 7 o'clock. Well, then it's 7 o'clock you eat, and then 10 o'clock, another 300 calorie meal. And then after that, it's 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So those are the key principles of the practice of weight loss, understanding the time slots of the day. And once you get used to that, once you practice that every day, you will say, okay, it's 8 o'clock, time to eat. 11 o'clock, time to eat. 2 o'clock, time to eat. 5 o'clock, time to eat. 8 o'clock, and then you'll be able to structure your day around those time slots. So remember that. The time slots are not unimportant. They are critical. And you want to get that into your head to where you can reel off those times, the times that you normally eat. Again, if you start at 9 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3, 6, 9. You know, for the 8 o'clock eaters, it's 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2, 5, 8. For the 7 o'clock eaters, it's 7, 10, 1, 4, 7. Okay? 8, 11, 2, 5, 8. 9, 12, 3, 6, 9. And so you'll get that into your head, the times that you normally eat, and then that is how you will become an expert at the practice of weight loss.
Bounce, bounce, bounce. Baby, bounce.
And welcome to The ChoZen. This section is for more advanced ChoZen FroZen subscribers. People have been doing this for a while. They have lost a lot of weight. Their clothes fit different now. They're getting lots of compliments. And they know this is the way they will live the rest of their lives. This lifestyle change of eating 300-ish calories every 3 hours, up to 2,000 calories. And they know their time slots. It might be 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Or you start at 9 or you start at 7. You're familiar with this. You know you're losing the weight. Things are going great. And then there are some recommended tips I have in this section if you haven't been here before. Now, of course, the number one thing I always tell people, and the question I always get with the ChoZen FroZen, well, what can you not eat? What can you eat? Here it is. Here it is. You can eat absolutely anything you want. There are 0 food restrictions on the ChoZen FroZen. You can have your burritos, pizza, vegan meals, vegetarian, whatever. As long as you're keeping it to 300-ish calories every 3 hours every day. Because remember, you're keeping that fat burner fed every 3 hours. You're refueling them every 3 hours, keeping them going at its optimal rate. And that's how you're going to be burning that food every day. So 0 food restrictions on the ChoZen FroZen. But of course, there are better options than the pizzas and the wines and the daiquiris and the burritos. There are foods, for instance, you can buy a breast of chicken and some vegetables at the store and come home, cook that up, you know, or a 4-ounce piece of steak or something like that, cook that up. But if you don't want to do all of that, because that can get tedious and it can get expensive, the thing that I found to be the most effective for me, frozen foods. Now, the modern frozen food is not what it used to be. These aren't those old Hungry Man, sodium-filled, preservative-filled meals. These are meals that are really just advanced food science and food technology, where you get all of the nutrients, where you get all of the servings that you need, and most importantly, you can accurately count the calories. That's the most important thing. You can accurately count the calories, because a lot of times people will sit at home, make their own food, and add a little this, add a little that. Before you know it, that 300-calorie plate is now 475 to 500 without even realizing it, and you're wondering why you're not losing the weight, because you're way over the 300-ish calorie barrier carrier that is the ChoZen FroZen. So that's why I say the frozen foods are your best options, because once you get used to losing the weight, once you start seeing those pounds come off, once you start to see your body transform, you don't want to do anything to mess that up. And the one thing that messes that up is consuming food in which you don't know the accurate calorie count. And so frozen foods are the way I go. And of course, I have a recommended frozen food in each one of these ChoZen FroZens videos. And the one we're going to do today, it's called a Healthy Choice Simply Steamers Meatball Marinara. This was a good one. It wasn't great because I'm not really a pasta guy, but this one is pretty good anyway. Now let's get to the basic. Of course, we put it in the microwave. We follow the instructions. In this case, it's microwave on high, 4.5 to 5 minutes. And you know what I do? I always put this on a plate, and I always have some baby spinach on the plate. And the reason I do that is because I like the spinach when it melts down and it becomes more of an herb, because I put the food on top of it and then I cover the food and let it steam inside of there and then stir it up after I take it off, and it becomes more like an herb than a salad. So it also changes the texture of the meal, but more importantly, it provides the roughage that you will need. Now, as you know from our other videos, what we do is season these meals in a way that's different from most people might expect. I don't season to taste, I season to color. And so what that means is I look at the color of the meal. You can look at the box, for instance, and on here, for instance, I see the marinara sauce. It's red, right? Red, oranges color. So the red, oranges color spice that I like to use, or seasoning that I like to use cayenne pepper in this case, because that color of the cayenne pepper matches the red of the sauce. I look at the meatballs. It has kind of a brownish, whitish color. So I'm going to go with celery salt here. Celery salt is excellent. A lot of people don't use celery salt, but it's actually quite good. And then we're looking at the pasta. Pasta, of course, is a whitish color if you take off the marinara sauce. And so I'm going to go with this one. It's called an Italian-style 5-cheese blend. It has Parmesan, Romano, and several other cheeses in it. It's absolutely delicious. And then taking a look at the greens, the spinach that's already in there. And then also the spinach that I added, the green I'm going to use is going to be cilantro. And these are all spices, seasonings, and herbs that make this okay meal an excellent meal. I really enjoyed it after I spiced it up. So let's go back, a quick review over the seasonings, herbs, and spices that we're going to use on this one. We're going to go with cayenne pepper for our reddish orange color. We're going with celery salt to match the meatball color. And then we're going with 5 cheese mix to match the pasta color. And then finally for the greens, we're going with cilantro. And this one is an excellent meal once you hook it up. And then the calories are excellent too. It's only 280 calories. So that's pretty much it for this meal that we're going to recommend. Healthy Choice Simply Steamers Meatball Marinara. Now, in review, 300-ish calories every 3 hours, every day. That is virtually how you're going to guarantee yourself to lose weight. And then you get into the practice of using those 300 calories every 3 hours. So you get used to the time slots: 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Or if you start at 9 o'clock, then it's the same thing: 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Let's say you start at 7 o'clock in the morning, it's 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So getting those time frames down, very, very important. All right, so keep that in mind. And there are 0 food restrictions. Don't say, well, I have to eat light or I have to eat healthy. Get those terms out of your mind. What you really want to think about is 300 calories every 3 hours, and then those time slots. And that's how you will lose weight. Once again, I want to give a big shout out to Men's Health Magazine for doing a wonderful interview. You can check that out online, and I'm sure you'll find a lot of valuable information in there as far as what that interview goes and how it relates to the ChoZen FroZen. So thank you for tuning in to episode 17. We are so happy that you have joined us on this weight loss journey. My name is Jay Jackson. Bon appetit.
Bounce, bounce, bounce. Baby, bounce. Come on, bounce, bounce, bounce. Baby, bounce. I like the way it snap back. Can I put it on Snapchat? Make it go clap, clap, clap. I'm gonna need a nap, nap. Got the bed squeaking. Baby girl, you freaking. No need for speaking. Look back, get a peeking. Tell me how you lie.